Hello everybody and welcome to another strategic operative video today. Today we're going to be doing a Star Wars Armada Rebel Ackbar slash build that is going to be really fun and actually to a degree is competitive as well. So let's dive right into it. Our command ship is going to be a Pelta and we are going to put Admiral Ackbar on it, and we're also going to give it intensify firepower. Now this list is going to have 5 ships in it, and they're not really going to be heavily armed with upgrades. We're just going for sheer volume of getting the most out of Ackbar as possible. Now to do this, I'm thinking of using the CR90 Corvette A style. Reason being is we're going to take advantage of its side arc. Now, there is only 1 red and 1 blue die. Even with concentrate fire, that's 2 red dice. We're going to add another red die at our side arcs with enhanced armament. So now with Ackbar, with our CR90 Corvette, we're getting the 1, which is already labeled on the card. We're getting 1 for concentrate fire. We're getting 1 for enhanced armament and 2 more for Admiral Ackbar, which is amazing. And this is such a cheap, fast ship that honestly 5 dice out of its sides for this price point is amazing. So we're going to duplicate this and we're going to get 4 CR90 Corvette A styles, and they're all going to have advanced armament on it. And that's really all of our ships. We're just going to leave them like that. Now the goal here would be to keep your Pelta in the back, and you're going to run like a Congo style line with your CR90s. Typically the best thing to do most times is hugging either the left or right side of the board. Although you only get to take advantage of one of your arcs, you don't have to worry about somebody sneaking up behind you. And if somebody was clever enough, like if they had a raider or something really fast to sneak up behind your Congo line, just turn your 2 back guys 90 degrees, and then they are ending up facing your 2 side arcs from your back 2 ships, which is 10 red dice. And that's if they're at long range. So it's something that a strategic player who has been playing this game knows and doesn't want to do, and is going to try hitting you from the front. And still, if you're being hit from the front, you're going to rotate your ship 90 degrees in towards the board, and this is really going to help you cover the entire board. You could always do your 2 Congo lines down the middle if you really wanted to flank somebody in the middle. I wouldn't recommend that. But it all depends on who you're going up against and who you're honestly going to be, what your objective is as well. So we're going to go to squadrons because we're at 316. Now our squadrons are going to be mainly for protecting your CR90s. This is going to be almost like a fleet that these squadrons are meant to keep your ships alive and engage squadrons. They're not necessarily meant to go attack, but if you can, depending on who you're going up against, you should be okay. We're going to use absolutely Sharabe. She's great for locking down squadrons. Dutch Vader is really good, especially if he could toggle an activated slider of specific squadrons, and if they're already activated, he gets to deal an extra damage, which is great. We do Luke Skywalker. He's always good all around, just for the brace, and also if you do go up against a ship, hey, going through the just going right through the shields is amazing. Most of these I am going to pick as A-Wings. We are going to go with Tycho. Tycho's really good. Sharabe is really good. In fact, just to even this all out, let's go with, we could do well, we can't do Wedge. We don't have the point cost for that. You could always cut down on something else if you really wanted to. Let's just go with a regular X-Wing for cover fire. Now, you could take the X-Wing out and just run with these 4 squadrons and get an initiative of 385, which is a decent initiative for going first, and that's something you typically, maybe with an Ackbar slash you don't want to go first. The reason being is you sort of want, if you play your cards right, or your ships right in this case, you're really going to be able to lock them down and make them come to you. If you're running red dice, you never want to go to the enemy. You always want them come to you. And it's really hard when you're running up against a Simoon or a similar Ackbar slash fleet, because then it's just a waiting game of inching up to each other. And I think if you're second player, you have the better shot of actually shooting first in the game. Now towards the end, I think with your 4 CR90s and your Pelta, you're going to be okay activation wise going second. I think that's not going to be a problem. I mean, if you really want to, you can. For objectives, I didn't really pick any objectives because I made it where this can pretty much work all around. You could always do most wanted or advanced gunnery. Those are the typical ones you want to go up against if you really want to table somebody, if you're going up against an ISD, simply because the point cost is really good. I would go with opening salvo, probably. And the reason being is you just get 2 extra red die. Well, if they chose you, they get to have 2 extra red die on their first attack for each ship. And you get to add 2 dice of any color on your first attack of any ship. So you could add black die at long range as well. So with Ackbar, you have your 5 red die out of your sides of your CR90. Then you get to add 2 black dice out of the side as well. So that's 7 dice. That is crazy for just a cheap ship like this. For defense, you could go a few different routes, honestly. If you're feeling like you could do fleet ambush, hyperspace assault, firing lanes. The only reason I'm going to go with firing lanes again is this can work both. This can really help you both ways. The way I'm going to talk about this is to explain it. Is if you're going up against a list, another rebel list that doesn't have the firepower, sure, absolutely play fire lanes. Now, however, if they're an ISD or something that you know you could not match just the dice to claim this victory points, now you know what their objective is in the game, and you know roughly about where they're going to be facing their front arc. Like I said, this is the same thing that I've said with other fast ships in the game, like if you're doing a Raider fleet, if you're going to do a CR90 fleet, if you're going to do a Hammerhead fleet, pick firing lanes, because if worse comes to worse, you're not going to be able to collect the objective, but you are going to know where their front arcs are facing. And that's huge in this game, because now you're able to predict, you know, basically where their front arcs are going to be to avoid those front arcs, come up from behind, and okay, if they get, you know, 60 extra points, well, if you take out their ISD, that could be almost 3 to 4 times as much as that objective they just claimed. So, I mean, it's a gamble to a degree, but if you play it right, and if you're comfortable playing fire lanes this way, then I would go firing lanes. Now we're going to go with navigation. You could do minefields. The only reason I'm thinking of minefields is just because you are a really good ship with maneuverability, but minefields tend to also break up congo lines really easily, because honestly, with a ship that only has 4 hull, you really can't afford to run over those mines. So I'm going to skip over minefields. Now, if you're feeling comfortable doing it, absolutely. We could do navigational hazards, salvo run. You could. I would do superior positions, honestly. Now, the reason being is they're choosing you. You get to see how they're set up, and you can choose, okay, am I going to run my congo line down the middle? Am I going to run it down the flank left or right side? Because you do not want to split up your fleet. You want all your guys sort of together, hugging the side of the board as you're coming up along, creating that amazing firing arc that just covers almost a third of the board with potentially 7 dice for each ship before their first attack. So it's a really strong build, and like I said, if you're worried about squadrons coming in and wrecking you, you have squadrons long enough to shut the opponent's side down. You have Shara Bay, Tycho, Luke Skywalker. He's just going to act as a regular X-wing against other squadrons, but you have, I mean, they're decent. They have 6 hull. And then you have Dutch Vander, which is really good for getting extra damage in. And honestly, when you look at it, 5 squadrons should be enough to keep the opponent busy for 1 to 2 rounds, where you can knock out whatever their escorting ships are or their squadron command is. Knock them out real quick. So, and honestly, this fleet should really work well almost against anything. I've had success with this against even ISDs using firing lanes. That's why I recommend using firing lanes so much, is because even though your goal is to lose the objective, you're really getting more out of it, because now you're able to predict where their front hulls are going to be. And that's going to save you a lot of trouble, especially in this game where things change on a whim and you don't know where their front hull is going to be. So I hope you all like this list, and let me know if you run it, and let me know if you could think of anything else you would do differently to this list. And I'm definitely interested to hear you guys' feedback. Thank you very much.